As fantastic a CFP as Mel O is, as wonderful an attorney as I am, and as good as Stormy is at whatever it is he does, please do note that anything said in our podcasts are our opinions alone and are not meant to be taken as financial or legal advice.
Welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, a Gen Xer podcast for musicians and music lovers, where we discuss money and music without all the pretentious bullshit. Here are your hosts, Zoe Terry, attorney at large, Stormy Andrews, founder of Yokel Local Marketing, and Mel O, certified financial planner and author of Finances, the Other F Word. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys, so today on Finances, the Other F Word, we're going to talk about various battles of the bands. But before we do that, a couple things I want to talk about. So most of you listeners out there don't know that we actually record this podcast in the Yokel Local Internet Marketing Headquarters. And our lovely co-host, can I call you lovely?
You can call me Lovely. That's
Lovely.
the name on the streets.
Our lovely co-host, Stormy, actually wired this whole thing, and it's super high-tech. He also hosts another podcast called Bizruptions. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Bizruption's a super cool podcast. It's really designed for business owners, entrepreneurs, and people just looking to get ahead. We invite guests that are subject matter experts that kind of share their expertise, and it's fun. It's a blast, so you definitely want to check it out. Bizruptions, wherever you get your podcast.
And he has a co-host.
My co-host is Deborah. I don't talk much about her because we battle. From the beginning of the show to the end of the show, who knows who's going to come out on top?
I don't know.
I have a pretty good idea.
I know, I was going to say mostly her, but
Stormy.
yeah. So also super cool news. Hopefully you guys are not getting a contact high sitting next to me right now because I went and saw Cypress Hill last night.
Cypress Hill? Are you kidding me?
Cypress Hill. Yeah, my friend, it was 7:32 at night.
Call.
7:32 at night, and my friend calls me and he says, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" I said, "I'm getting ready to turn off my computer and go to bed." He's like, "I got an extra Cypress Hill ticket." I said, "All right, I'm getting dressed. I'm heading down there." They had two opening acts. The first one I can't remember. The second one was Hollywood Undead, who I had heard about but never heard their music. And they're very Linkin Park-esque.
Okay.
Very good. They were very good. The crowd was digging them. Cypress Hill killed it. And have you ever seen Public Enemy?
Yes, not in person.
Not in person. Do you know who Public Enemy is, Zoe?
Yes, I do.
Have you ever seen them?
No.
You've never
Okay.
seen Chuck B?
Chuck D.
Chuck D.
Did you say B?
No,
I
but
said D.
I saw Chuck C once.
Vitamin C. Oh, God. So for those of you who have never seen it, just a quick aside, for those of you who have never seen Public Enemy, I never really thought much about Flavor Flav. Him and Bret Michaels are good friends from the reality show they did at VH1 in the 90s. Bret Michaels is lead singer for Poison. Poison and Motley Crue had a show at Red Rock Casino down here, and Flavor Flav was there. And he's walking through the crowd, and all these rockers like, Flavor Flav, and everything. When I saw him with Public Enemy, you know, the soldiers came out, and they were like, ding, ding, ding. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. You know, and the music started, and I'm kind of bobbing my head. Chuck D comes out, and he's, you know, rapping and stuff. And I'm, you know, like getting a little bit more into it. Flavor Flav hits the stage. I don't know what this man was doing. Just all the stuff he does.
Right.
Clock
He's the
around,
hype man.
Yeah, clock around his neck. Still not running. Okay, can we? I gotta believe you have enough money to put a battery in the fucking clock, Flav. But anyway, so he's dancing around, and all of a sudden I'm like, what? And I'm like jumping, and I'm all flailing my hands, and the whole crowd instantly hyped up. So you know what, Flavor Flav, I'm sorry to have ever doubted you because you are the shit, son.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's a Vegas local, and we all love him here.
We have to go to one of his. He's got a chicken restaurant here in town. Have you been to it?
Does he really?
Yeah, it's got like Flavor Flav's Chicken.
Is
Seriously.
it really
No
called
joke.
Flavor?
Flavor Flav's, absolutely.
I might have to Google that.
We got to see if it's still around, but it was, I've seen
Do you
it.
believe him?
I don't know.
I'm not sure if I do. I want to see the proof.
I want Flavor Flav to have a chicken restaurant. He's Googling it, so we'll know. I want Flavor Flav to have a chicken restaurant because, you know, the rappers back in the day didn't make as much money as they do now. And so I think that would be great if one of his side projects is an investment or at least having them use his name. That would be wonderful.
We're going to find out
Okay.
soon enough.
All right, do you actually have reception this time, or is it just going to be a whole bunch of dead silence where you try to figure out?
It's dead silence. My phone's just spazzing out, so let's give it a minute. But I mean, let's continue.
Yeah. Let's not all sit here.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. So today what we're doing is we're covering battles of the band. Each of us have different battles that we remember, different rivalries that were going on, and we're going to talk a little bit about the music half of it as we go through.
I'm sorry. His restaurant closed in April of 2011.
Oh, when did it open?
Looks
May
like
2011.
I know.
it looks like it was January of 2011.
April, May.
January of 2011.
Yeah. So that would be March.
Oh,
I
man.
meant March. I always get those two confused.
What was it? Because
January of 2011, so you made it for 4 months.
oh no! Oh come on, Flav. You know what? You got a big enough brand. Put your name on some clocks.
Right.
That run. Let's do that. That's gonna be awesome. So anyway, we're gonna start out, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kick it over to my lovely co-host Stormy.
Lovely.
Lovely
Yeah.
co-host
Why
Stormy.
does he get to be lovely twice?
I don't know, because he's sitting to my right.
Yep,
Okay.
and I'm
So
lovely.
the right hand side is my lovely side
What's
today.
your left-hand side?
I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go.
Okay.
Yeah, depends on how nice you are to me and how much crap you talk. Okay, so all right, Stormy. So
Okay.
tell us some battle of the band that you remember.
Oh, Battle of the Band that I remember. Well, we've got to go with Tupac and Biggie, can't you see?
Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. Are you singing? Why are you so? Why she sounds like she's in pain.
Because I remember the tune, but not the words, so I'm just kind of like.
Oh. Had a good beat to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it
Yep.
shouldn't have even been a battle. Biggie had that hands down.
And why? Why do you say that?
Biggie.
No,
You can't just
you
repeat
gotta
that.
back it up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on a couple things.
His style, have you listened to Biggie's lyrics? I mean,
Yes.
they were ridiculous. He would tell stories in the middle of a rap, in the middle of another story. and they
Brenda's
would come
Got a
together.
Baby
It was
is nothing
ridiculous.
but a story.
Ridiculous.
Okay, and some of Biggie's lyrics were like, found your father hiding in the room, fucked him with a broom, slid him down the handle, put salt on the wound. I'm like, damn.
like-
Oh, that's a little bit nasty.
It's a lot nasty. Yeah, so first of all, on a scale of hotness, Tupac as a chick, just Tupac hands down. 6-pack, just mean looking. Anyway, I really like Tupac. But voice, let's just go with voice. So Biggie had a deeper voice, but it was more like that. Tupac was more like, he was more like flowing, and you could put it in, I get around, bum, 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 bum. Like you could put it more in a music standpoint where Biggie, like even Hypnotized, I mean, he wasn't doing any of the harmonies. He was just doing the rap. So I don't know how you can be going for Biggie at all.
Yeah, you know what? This podcast is over.
That's
done.
it. Me and
I'm
Biggie,
done.
we are out. We're out.
Absolutely.
Do any of you guys remember when they had this situation on VMA where it was right after Biggie? Because I'm trying to think who got shot first. Was it Tupac? Did Tupac get shot and killed first, and then Biggie was like 6 months later, right?
I don't know. I thought it was Biggie first, but I could be wrong.
Now he's going to try to Google on a
let's
phone that
rehearse.
doesn't work again. Well,
So you keep talking, Mel.
Yeah, I think it was Tupac that got shot first. But after that, that the following VMAs, when both of them had passed, however order it happened, what ended up happening is their two mothers came out on stage, Tupac's mother and Biggie Small's mother. And Biggie Small's mother was pissed. And to the best of my knowledge, she's never not been pissed about it. And she was mad at rap music, and she was mad at hip hop in general for taking her son. So she specifically felt that her son was robbed because of the music and not because of something. And I don't even know if it was, the beef between West Coast and East Coast, or if it was just some random thing, because Biggie was a diehard, pretty big drug dealer and stuff before he actually got popular. And so, I mean, who knows if it was necessarily West Coast or East Coast, but and in general, I like West Coast rap way better than East Coast rap. So there's no way I'm gonna give you Biggie on that one for sure. Do you have anything either way? Do you know who Tupac is?
I know who both of them are, but I have zero opinion. Other than looks, I would go for Tupac.
Tupac.
Yep.
All right. And, I tried to find some numbers on these guys to see kind of what their net worth was before they died, just to kind of compare them. And so to Stormy's point, Biggie's net worth is estimated to be about $160 million when he passed.
160?
Yeah, $160 million.
When he passed?
Yeah, but you have to figure out who owns that. I mean, his net worth is his net worth, but a lot of the music couldn't be owned by him. So maybe it's the branding and merchandise. You just don't know where that comes from.
Okay.
Where Tupac was worth estimated $40 million.
There you go. I rest my case.
Yeah,
Done.
but
Drop the mic.
no, I think that I don't think that that's I don't think that that's a fair assumption. But I mean, as far as if we're doing it on a grading scale, then it does look like Biggie was bigger. But remember, he ran with Puffy. And Puffy was producing all his stuff. Or I'm sorry, what is his name now? I don't know. Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puffy. It depends on how old you are.
Right.
Right. Whoever the hell he is now, he used to produce all of his music and everything like that. So
Didn't Tupac have a little thing with Madonna? Am I right with that?
I think he did, and that was always really weird to me. Can you imagine Tupac and Madonna
yeah, she
doing
was
anything? Well, back in the day, and she looks good for her age now, but I
Right.
mean, back in the day. But they were talking about the '90s though, and in the '90s,
okay. So
I mean, she
wasn't that old.
No, but like she was with like Ray of Light, her techno quicker than a ray of light. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh God, I'm glad. But
Was that back then?
that was like '96.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like '96. So that would have been right. So Tupac, I think, got shot in '97. I really should have taken these dates. I don't know. I'm just doing this all by memory. So that means that they probably had their little fling 94, 95. So she was in her super yoga techno ray of light, and I've never been a fan of techno, but so. All right, so Zoe, you had a couple bands from England that none of us have heard of. So why don't you talk about them? Or would you like to introduce the band?
Oh,
Stormy?
yes, absolutely. So tell us about this band. I believe they're called. Hold up. Wait a second.
Hold up.
Wet.
Oh, goodness. I had a little bit of throw up in my mouth then.
Well, he cleared his throat just for you because he
Just
wanted
for
to
you.
get the enunciation right on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so back in the 80s, when I was just a teenage girl, yes, there was. It wasn't so much of a rivalry between the two bands as it was a rivalry between the fans. So you had a Scottish band called Wet Wet Wet, and you had an English band called Bros.
This sounds like a soccer game, like where the fans start beating the crap out of each other. It seems like it's getting that way.
Well, you definitely you were on one side or the other. You could not be both.
Why?
I will
Because they both
explain.
sound like they're horrible musicians just from the names.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I thought Wet was going to be like three girls. It's three dudes. I'm out.
You are both going to have to let me talk on this one. Because
All right, Ed, drop
Okay.
some knowledge on us.
So Wet Wet Wet, they're Scottish. They formed in 1982, and their lead singer was the most handsome fella in the whole wide world. So I think you can tell which side I was on.
Was he a ginger? Zoe has a thing for gingers.
Oh.
No,
And
I give birth to gingers. I do not have a thing for gingers. So the lead singer was called Marty Pellow, and he was fine.
Hello, Marty Pillow.
No, not pillow, Pellow. Goodness,
Hello.
I forget I have to enunciate every word here. Anyway, so they were, so you were either a Wet 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 fan or you were a Bros fan. Now, Bros were an English band, and they were made up of twin brothers, identical. Oh, we're just showing around a picture.
Oh
of
my
Marty Pellow.
God, this is the guy.
Well, let me see first, because it might. Oh God, no! I don't need to see that. You've ruined my dreams.
That's
Okay, let's go back to
Pillow.
Marty Pellow in in the 80s.
In the 80s.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
that's unfair.
He's gonna have some great new wave
'Cause You're
hairdo.
bursting my bubble, right?
Okay, so bros. So tell me about Bros or
so
Bros.
Bros, Bros. They were formed in 86, and they were twin brothers, identical twin brothers, blonde hair, blue eye, Matt and Luke Goss, and then a drummer that they met at school called Craig Logan, who basically nobody knew, nobody gave a shit about, nobody could remember his name. I think at some point people used to call him Keith or something. I mean, poor fella. It was all about the twin boys, Matt and Luke Goss, who were, So, like I said, you were either a Wet 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 fan or you were a Bros fan. And the Bros fans were called Brossettes. They wore...
That is horrible.
This was the
That's
80s, man. We
awful.
were teenage girls.
Oh my
and
God.
Wet 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 was the first live concert I ever went to. They were supported by the Pasadenas, who were an excellent band, by the way. I went with a group of my girlfriends. I think my friend Nicole only went for the Pasadenas, so she had a lot more taste than any of us. Clearly.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Nicole. So one of my best friends, even now, Karen, was a huge Brossette. And so the Brossettes would wear, the beer Grolsch? Do you have the beer
Oh, yes,
Grolsch?
Grolsch.
I don't-
That stuff
Yes.
sucks.
I don't
I
even.
bought one of those. That's like the worst beer on the planet.
Grosh?
Grolsch. They've got a cool bottle. They've got a little metal thing that pops open. The bottle's super cool, but the beer sucks.
Well, this is the thing.
We should have a taste test.
I was going to say we weren't drinking it, but we probably were. But the bottle tops off those bottles,
Are ridiculous.
the Brossettes would wear on their shoes. Anyway, don't ask. I wasn't a Brossette. I was a Wetette. I don't think that was even what they were called. I just made that up. But anyway, so in terms of Battle of the Bands, Wet, Wet, Wet are still going now, as far as I know. Marty Pello is no longer involved, so I'm no longer interested. Do you know Four Weddings and a Funeral? You know that?
I know
Yes,
the movie. I've
the
never
movie.
seen it.
movie? They did the song for that. Love is all around us. So anyway, they're still going. But Bros, so they had a spectacular fallout in 1992. They only had a couple of big songs, but they sold about 16 million records.
Really? Just in England? Because I've never heard of either of these bands.
No, in Europe.
In Europe, okay.
They did come over here for a little while. I'm not sure what success they had. But after the band broke up, Luke went on to be an actor and director over here. And then Matt had his own solo career, and he's actually here now and has been for a few years. He performs at the Mirage now. And I went to see him last year, I think, and he's actually very good. He does kind of crooner type music. And yeah, he's very good.
But I don't understand what spurred this whole rivalry between the fans. Because, I mean, people who like New Kids on the Block still liked Backstreet Boys, and people who liked 98 Degrees still liked the other guys in sync.
I'm not sure what spurred it. It was just that they were both out at the early 80s at the same time, and you just were one or the other. They were just
I'm on the side of the bros.
they called
Ross.
I'm with the hose.
Ross. They're
You're,
Scottish.
of course, you're with the hose. But anyway, they've had this big. They had a documentary that just came out at the end of last year that followed the Bros twins for 8 months, and apparently it is fucking hilarious. I haven't been able to see it yet. It's called After the Screaming Stops, and it is warts and all, and it's painful but amusing, and it's a must see. But anyway, you have to go see Matt Goss at the Mirage because he is worth it. So
What's the name of the show at the Mirage? Is it?
it's just Matt Goss. Matt Goss performs.
Actually, I've seen the advertisement for that because I like
Really?
crooner style music
Okay,
too.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's crooner, but he throws in a couple. I think they only had 3 hits that I can remember.
So Oasis, are Liam and the other guy, are they both twins too? Because they
No.
hate each other's guts.
Yeah,
One of
they-
them's a little older.
Yeah, they're not twins, and I can.
In-
That's my next when we're ready. That's my next battle. Now those bands weren't in any kind of battle with each other. That was the fans that were battling.
Okay.
But the next two, Blur and Oasis.
So Blur sings song 5. Woohoo!
song 2.
When I feel
love
like
the
I
fact
let
that
all-
you've
woo. Yeah, I thought
made
it was
into
song
5,
5.
but it
yeah,
was song
that's
2.
the only song I know by Blur, and I thought they were a metal band, and I do not think Oasis is a metal band. So you're telling me those two genres are the same? Because
Yes.
I never heard anything else by Blur. I didn't care.
They were Britpop, and they
Oh.
came out about the same time as grunge. And we'll
Yeah, we'll
talk about
segue. We'll
another-
segue in that. Mhm.
So the Blur and Oasis feud is for reals, and then there's also the Oasis feud. But Blur and Oasis, they both came out in the late 80s, early 90s, and they were friends at first. But then apparently the feud began when they both released a record at the same time. Blur's was Country House. Lives in a house, very big house in the country. No, don't remember
One
it.
more time?
No, it was.
No,
it
I
was,
almost got it. One more time, please.
He lives in a house, a very big house in the country.
I feel like I should be playing a banjo right now.
Okay.
And I'm from the South. So
and
that's-
then it was Oasis's song "Roll With It." Anyway, they're both neither one's of their very particularly good songs. So they're both released at the same time. So it was kind of an engineered battle right at the start, and then it went on to create a huge media shitstorm and a big fight between the two bands, which culminated at one point with Noel Gallagher wishing two of the band members would contract AIDS and die.
Okay, I remember reading something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And instead of another one of Blur's songs was Park Life. Park Life. Remember that? No, don't
No,
remember that.
no.
either.
I'm so glad I
I
don't.
vaguely remember Park
Oh,
Life.
they were Blur.
Do
were
you?
good. Blur were good.
Was that the time with like ABC?
No, ABC was early 80s.
Yeah, we're talking about
And
late
ABC was,
80s,
they were
early
actually,
90s.
he was actually a good singer.
And so was Damon Albarn. I like Blur.
I'm going to
Anyway,
trust you.
and so Noel Gallagher renamed Park Life Shite Life and things like that. It became a real, battle between them, whether real or engineered, who knows. But eventually, in about 2011, which after Blur is still going, but Oasis no more. Noel Gallagher and Damon out of Blur did make up, but Liam, the younger, even the most stupider of the Gallagher brothers from Oasis, continues to try and continue the fight with Blur, and fell out with his brother big time.
Yeah, they're still
feuding
fighting.
even now on Twitter. They still fight, and
And they're twins.
And
yeah,
they're
no,
twin- or
no, they're brothers. It's Bros were twins. These two are just brothers, but they're Liam is just a
They're just
hot
spoiled. They're all
mess.
spoiled
Yeah.
brats. And I don't know what happened because they released the CD that had Wonderwall on it, and I can see the cover in my head, and I cannot remember the name of it. And Wonderwall I loved. I thought it was a great song lyrically. I thought it was a great song lengthwise. It was just a really great song. And it was then they had another one off that album that, again, I can see the video, but I can't see the name. And it was a fantastic album. And then I heard that they started fighting. I think they might have released one more CD after that, and then they just started fighting. And way to fuck up your band,
Absolutely.
Oh, I know.
Jesus.
They were
Probably over a
they were
girl.
great. Really, really
I
good.
think I don't even think
I
it was
think it's
over a
over a
girl. I
girl.
think it's just them.
No, it wasn't.
They're
it
just
was
jerks.
Liam was
They would trash things and
he wouldn't
fight.
He wouldn't turn up at gigs, and then he even sued. They sued each other a few times.
Yep.
Over various things, but he just was a badly behaved, spoiled little brat. If you ask me, which no one did, but
Yeah, no, it's okay.
it's okay.
Well-
But yeah, so Oasis. I think they finally split up in about 2009, and Liam is just a hot mess living over here, tweeting out jibes at his brother
Stupidness.
and just general stupidness. I think Noel still has a little bit of street cred. He was always the most sensible and the uglier of the two.
Did any of the suits ever get settled with money? I'm curious how they split, because if I remember correctly, they both wrote. And usually for artists, the bulk of your money comes from being able to write and obtain the rights to the actual lyrics and the music. And I think both of them actually contributed. So I'm really curious to know, do you know how those suits landed out?
The suits I read about were stupid suits over Noel saying that Liam didn't appear at a concert because he had a hangover, whereas Liam said it was because he had laryngitis, and they ended up settling it out of court. So it was more ridiculousness than...
Because do you guys remember in the 80s, as soon as you said lawsuit, it made me think of Clearwater Revival, and I don't even think it was them. I think it was maybe the record label suing on their behalf. I don't know, it sued John Fogerty because he released an album, which I can't remember, and he had the song on there, The Old Man is Down the Road. I don't know if you remember it. And I also think he had Center Field off of that one, which was an awesome song about baseball, and I don't like baseball, but they sued Clarence, whoever was representing Clarence Clearwater Revival, sued John Fogerty for plagiarizing himself.
Really?
Yeah, because they said that his music sounded too much like his music with CCR, which I thought was just absolutely even ridiculous then. Because even when Steve Perry from Journey went solo, he sounded like Journey. I mean, if you're the voice of the band, how do you know what I mean?
Voice.
Right.
Yeah, how do you not sing like that? So that's why I was just really curious how that would have shaken out.
Now, was that John Fogerty in the Mellencamp?
No, that's John. Shut up, Story. John Cougar. First of all, it was John Cougar Mellencamp. Then
Okay,
it was John
got it.
Cougar. Now I think he prefers John Mellencamp.
Got
And
it.
he is dating Meg Ryan still
Interesting.
for like a hot minute, and he still smokes like a chimney, and I don't know.
Meg Ryan, isn't she married to Dennis Quaid?
No, they've been broken up for a hot minute.
Oh.
Yeah, no, he's with Meg Ryan. He's been with Meg Ryan for a minute now. Like, I want to say close to 10 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid was Stormy gets stuck in a little time loop, and he doesn't get past that. So do you guys? So you guys are not Motley Crue fans?
No.
Hey, they have a video, as a matter of fact. I was watching on Netflix. That looks like it's going to be a pretty cool flick.
Yeah. Now you're talking about The Dirt.
The Dirt,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, so The Dirt. First of all, diehard Motley Crue fan, have not seen The Dirt yet. I know it just came out this weekend, and I was busy, so I'm going to be watching it this week. But they have taken a book that was written in the 90s that I read that was very vulgar, disgusting. It's disgusting. I think I've told you parts about it. Like there's a part in there where Nikki Sixx, the bassist, and Tommy Lee the drummer decide they're gonna have a competition about who can score without showering on tour. So for I think it's like 45 days, they played on tour every night, played shows, groupied, right? And didn't shower. And then finally, I'm dead. And that's not even the grossest part of the book. And then I think finally, if I remember correctly, and I know all the Crue fans I've already seen are probably yelling at me, I think Tommy Lee was like, I'm showering. And then they finally showered. And there was also another little tidbit in there where Tommy Lee was saying that to not get caught cheating, you stick your member in a burrito. Yeah, that response is the response you should have.
What kind of burrito?
Like, I don't know. I don't know. That is a great
Would
question.
that be like with a beef burrito
yeah,
with extra cheese whiz?
little pico de gallo to this.
Just cheese and bean. I think will probably do
Yeah,
it.
I don't know. Anyway, so it's completely foul. But all of my friends who've seen it said it's absolutely amazing, and the actors did a great job. And they actually have some songs charting now because of their revival. But
Interesting.
they've agreed in 2015. I saw their farewell concert when they came here. The next night they went. That was December 30th. The next night they went over to Los Angeles, and Alice Cooper buried them. But they made a contract that they'll no longer tour. But they have some songs out now. So, I mean, I don't think they'll tour, but they'll probably do a residency in Vegas again, which is like happy birthday to me because I'll be there for sure. So also some other bands from England, Led Zeppelin and The Who. Now, musically, I'm going to go with Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you
Yeah, I'll agree.
all in agreement with that? As far as sexiness, Robert Plant, and I don't know when that year that concert was. I think it was probably 77. All I know is that, his hair's all ringleted and his shirt's open. He's wearing a blue shirt and bell bottoms, and they're slung really low, and he's singing his ass off. And I was like, oh, my God, if I was not like 3 or 4 when that concert was going on. Oh, my gosh, he was so good. And, and they both had drummers who died.
Really?
Both of them. Yeah, Bonham and Moon. So Moon from The Who died, and Bonham from Zeppelin died. I think Keith Moon died first, and then Bonham died shortly after, and then Led Zeppelin decided to disband, and then they just didn't carry on. And The Who, of course, had like kind of a revolving. But as far as like music, hands down, it's got to be Led Zeppelin.
No question.
Yeah, and I was trying to look around to get some numbers and kind of see how the contracts were set up for them when they were signed and how things were done there. But it just wasn't to the scale it is now. I mean, when I was trying to compare the actual, attendance and things like that, I mean, the most that they had pulled in as far as Led Zeppelin, the biggest concert they had ever played was like 57,000.
Really?
Which is nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how Wembley Stadium, how many does that hold? Like 85,000?
No idea. Dunno.
Like a lot. I mean, I know the Foo Fighters sold it out twice. So I probably 65 to 80,000, and that's just in one thing. So, I mean, all the years that Led Zeppelin was going, the highest concert was 57,000 people, which just seems, absolutely crazy now by today's standards. So you have to think about how much money they actually made. and the fact that the record company even had a tighter hold on them. I don't think Led Zeppelin owns the rights to their music.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and it,
that's
you
a
know,
shame.
which just makes like Lionel Richie and Elton John just makes them so much smarter that, you know, Lionel Richie had the fortitude to keep the rights to his song from the Commodores on up. So his solo stuff, the Commodores, he owns all of it.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love me some Lionel.
Yeah, she got to see him live. I still haven't got to see him live yet, but
When do you see me live on stage?
I don't want to see you live on stage. Ever. And so, anyway, in the rock world back in the 80s, there was this whole big thing between Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue. Axl, frontman for Guns N' Roses, Vince, the frontman for Motley Crue, and I don't know, it was over they were just being bitches. I don't know what they were arguing about. And I remember watching on MTV that one of them, and it was both of them, but I'm picturing this specific time they come on and they're like, "I'll fight you." I think it was Vince now, actually, that I'm thinking about it. "I'll fight you anytime, Axl. Get in the ring, you know. We'll set up a date and time and we'll fight." And there's a song by Guns N' Roses called "Get in the Ring" that people said loosely was based on that. So anyway, they're like little fucking kids on the playground, and they're like, "I'm going to meet you by the swing set and fight you," and ridiculousness. So they had a whole thing, and then Axl was such a diva anyway. I mean, he would fuck up, you know, be pissed at fans and jump in the crowd and punch people and then play, you know, 2 songs and get out and the place would riot. There was a big, God, in the 80s, there was a big concert that they were playing, and they rioted, and because he was a bitch, and he got off stage after some little punk attitude, and they ripped the whole place up. They destroyed the arena. It was a big deal, and this is when heavy metal was under fire and all that kind of stuff. But Guns N' Roses has recently reunited. However, the interesting thing is that the net worth of Motley Crue, there's not really net worth for the Motley Crue, but as a group, but as individuals, they're all like topping $40 to $70 million in net worth
Each
of them. Yeah. And then Guns N' Roses, you know, they say about $20 million as far as what the brand is worth, but then they're saying that he's, you know, worth about $90 million by himself. But I don't really know because it took him 20 years to put out Chinese Democracy, which was a good CD. But if you wait 20 years for anything, it's going to be lackluster for sure.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And they just recently got back together, and they were touring. I think they're off tour now. And they came to T-Mobile. They opened it. Well, they didn't officially open it because the Killers did, but I saw that show. It was great. Axl was not being an asshole. His foot was broken, so he could sing right on cue, and it was fucking absolutely wonderful. You know, so that was one that came to mind. And then, of course, we have our 2 resident divas, J-Lo and Mariah Carey.
I've got to go with J-Lo.
J-Lo, is that because the hotness factor? Tell me why J-Lo.
It's all about the booty.
It's all about the booty?
Absolutely.
Well, I think Mariah Carey has a booty, too.
Mariah's got pain in the... You can just tell Mariah.
Uh-huh.
Too diva. I mean, now J-Lo.
I was going to say, I don't know.
Let me
I'm thinking both.
Well, you know, both I've got to spend, you know, like let's say if I had J-Lo or Mariah, right? Both of them are going to be very expensive.
Right.
Very expensive for upkeep. But I would
You're going to
imagine...
have to break out the penny jar.
Yeah, you need to
I've
save
got to bring out
those
the penny
pennies.
jar. But Mariah, it just doesn't seem like she would be that much fun.
It's because she's psycho. I think we could say that.
You think that has something to do with it?
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
So who are you going for?
I got to go with J-Lo.
So hot in a scale, J-Lo.
By far.
Okay.
Not even close.
How?
J-Lo without a doubt.
There's not
Okay.
a guy on the planet except for maybe like Nick Cannon that would disagree.
Well,
I
but
think
Nick.
he'd probably disagree now too.
But Nick Cannon said that he only married her to get. He was on Stern, and he said basically that he married her to climb the A-lister ladder.
Oh.
Yeah, which was a
That's
bunch of
mean.
crap.
I don't think
Yeah.
he did. I think he was really into her for a while.
Well, keep telling yourself that, but he says otherwise. And this was like
Mean.
before they actually divorced.
Really?
I mean, I think at that point they were probably on the way
Yeah,
out. I don't think
absolutely.
he would say that. So J-Lo has residencies here, and Mariah Carey has residencies. On hotness, I'm going to go with J-Lo.
Absolutely.
As far as overall performer, I'm absolutely going to go with J-Lo because Mariah Carey just walks back and forth on the stage kind of like Cher does.
Right.
No offense against Cher. You know, I mean, obviously
Well,
she's
Cher's
had
like
staying power.
112.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
yeah.
She's not. She's 6.
I think
No,
she's a
she's
centennial.
No,
seventy.
she's 70 something.
I think she's
Yeah.
112. I'm pretty sure.
She's a
Underneath
vampire.
it all, yeah.
Yeah,
That's why we only see her at night.
pretty much.
So she just walks back and forth, and Mariah Carey just walks back and forth. But when J-Lo's performance at the Grammys, did you see that?
No.
Oh my God, did you see that?
No.
Dude, I thought Alex was gonna bust a nut watching that. He was sitting there, he was recording. He's like he was looking at J-Lo like it was somebody else's girlfriend that was on stage dancing, and she was that hot, and she had, of course, heels on. She is dancing her ass off, and that's why I will always go J-Lo. And everybody was like upset because she did a rendition of the of basically Soul, and they were upset because she wasn't black.
Well, she used to be a fly girl.
Yeah, and she's a Latina, but that was the thing. They were upset, and they said, hey, you could have gotten Beyonce, which is a valid point because Beyonce's on par with J-Lo in my opinion. But I thought J-Lo did a fantastic job, and she just killed it. I mean, she just was absolutely amazing. And I'm like, to be able to run around and dance and sing, Mariah's never absolutely going to come anywhere close to it. But as far as net worth and money-wise, they're really close on par. J-Lo's about $100 million ahead of her at $400,000, and she's about $300,000. It's
Right.
$300 million net worth, and J-Lo's $400 million net worth.
Okay.
And I'm just, I was trying to think of all the hits because J-Lo's very first song was If You Had My Love, and that was in the 90s. That was off of On the Six, which I think came out because she was dating P. Diddy, so that would have been around the Biggie time. So I would say that's probably like 96 maybe On the Six came out. And then Mariah Carey's first song was Someday, which I think hit MTV in 91 or 92. So as far as Mariah Carey's been around longer, but yeah, J-Lo was a fly girl.
She was a fly girl.
Before she was performing. But yeah, I still gotta go with J-Lo. But I've heard J-Lo is not a nice person.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
then
neither's
I'm out.
Mariah Carey.
I'm out.
Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
so-
I just kicked them both to the curb. You
Did
heard it
you?
here first.
Wow.
They're gonna
So,
Stormy has
heartbroken.
kicked Mariah
So-
and J-Lo
so
to
when
the curb.
J-Lo calls you back, grieving the loss of A-Rod, you're not gonna take her call.
I might give her a second chance.
I doubt that.
We'll see what happens.
I doubt that.
So do they not like each other? Is there?
No, I don't know if they don't like each other or not. Well, there was somebody said, am I getting them confused that they didn't know somebody, or somebody asked them something about it and they were like, oh, I don't know her. I'm like, well, you maybe not have met her, but you know who the hell she is. I
Right.
mean, but I think it's just a rivalry because they're both divas and they're both
Right.
kind of in the same like demographic as far as money goes, or as selling albums and that kind of stuff. But the biggest band issue that I remember coming out of specifically the 90s was Napster and Metallica.
Napster.
Yeah.
Forgot about Napster.
Yeah. So, and there was also, do you guys remember there was also another service like Napster called LimeWire?
Well, LimeWire. I remember LimeWire. That's where all the bootleg music came from.
Right. And every time, so well, you're the tech guy. Do you remember exactly how it worked? I kind of remember how it worked, but I don't want to be wrong.
Yeah, I used LimeWire.
Me
I do
too.
remember
Me
that,
too.
but
I did.
how it worked, I have no idea. But I was all about.
I think it was like you allowed actually people to have access to your computer and pull the file off. It was something like that.
Okay.
Because you'd have to go, but there was all kinds of crazy shit on LimeWire. At the time, I had audios of Ozzy Osbourne and Miss Piggy singing together. I'm not lying. I'm not lying to you. And all of these random like shit you would never think, and it would take forever to get on the internet. You get on the internet,
Right.
and then you'd have to, find whoever was online with LimeWire, and then you'd have to click on it, or you'd search for a song, and then it would come up with like these people have it, and then you'd have to access, I believe, their computer, and then you'd have to wait forever and ever, and sometimes it'd be like shit. It would sound like shit because it
Absolutely.
downloaded wrong or something. But LimeWire is a shit, and then Napster. I think LimeWire was first.
You think so?
I think so. And then Napster came and like kicked it up a notch. So at the time, Metallica was huge. They came out with the Black Album in 91 or 92. And what ended up happening is that Napster got really, really, really big. And then Metallica was one of the largest, the most downloads
Okay.
was coming from Metallica. And Lars Ulrich, the drummer for Metallica, found out about this, and rightly so, went after them. But he did it in such a pissy way because, like, the people like me, we had supported them back from, Kill 'Em All, which was their very first CD. And Lars, instead of going after Napster, even though he sued Napster, he would go after the actual people who downloaded the music themselves, the fans who had all probably purchased tickets to see them live and
Right.
owned all of their CDs at the time because that's
Right.
when people still bought music. And, but maybe they just didn't have that one song or, they didn't have the money to buy the CD yet. And so he's, on MTV and he has these is a list of 300, or 3,000, whatever names it was of, people who have downloaded our music for free. And fans are like, fuck you. You guys are millionaires how many times over, and we download one of your songs and you're calling us out and we've been supporting you all this time. They didn't even have their first video until one off of Injustice for All. That was 4 albums in. And so it was like the biggest bullshit. But in the end, because he fought them, I think that's the reason why we have the Apple Store now and we have the ability to, even though you can still get music for free, I think that's why it's more commonplace that people pay for it now.
Interesting.
But that was a huge fucking deal. And Metallica's worth so much money. They're so, hold on, I wrote this down here because it fucking blew me away when I saw their net worth. So the Beatles' net worth, who we haven't really talked about, is $1.2 billion. And Metallica's net worth, I think it was something, $830 million.
Really?
Yeah, so Beatles, of course, is
Interesting.
more, but $830 million. This
From
is how much
Metallica.
this band is still going strong with. And that was just a huge deal. And it was all over money, and I understand where Lars is coming from, but at the same time, the way he went about it, I thought was just a bunch of shit. So that was the one that I remember the most. Can you guys think of any more that reminds you?
Let's see. Battle of the Bands. What about Jay-Z and Beyonce's sister?
Oh, yeah. What happened with
That's
that?
a battle of the band.
That's true. What
In the elevator.
Yeah, what happened? He didn't hit her.
No, she was swinging on. She hit him. Didn't she beat him up in the elevator?
I think that sounds right. Like she swung on him and he didn't do anything back. What were they doing? Just yelling? What were they yelling about?
Well, I think that's when it came out that Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce.
Oh.
And she was protecting her sister.
I don't really know how trying to punch somebody is going to protect the sister from a cheating thing that already happened. But yeah, Solange, I can never say her name right.
Yeah, that works.
It's one of those two. Solange,
Solange.
yeah. And then there was the other, what was the sports guy
The sports
that got caught in the elevator? He knocked the girl out and she still married him. I think he was a football player. He literally punched
Yeah.
her, and it was on video.
That's the wrong show. This Battle of the Bands. He's
Yes.
an NFL player. Wrong show.
Yeah, so Stormy doesn't know. See, he's our sports guy. We're looking at him. He doesn't know, but okay, I'll take your segue, but he doesn't know. That's the thing. So this is a stupid question, but rounding out this, going back to our bands across the pond, Beatles, obviously a huge band from England. Rolling Stones came out shortly after. Never had the stupid bowl cuts though, to the best of my knowledge. So we'll go to our British birdie. Which one out of those two?
Rolling
Beatles.
Stones.
Rolling
No.
Over the Beatles?
My mom was a Beatles fan. My dad was a Rolling Stones, and I have to say, I mean, I love both of their music, but if I had to pick one or the other, it'd be with the Rolling Stones. And my kids know all the Rolling Stones songs, so they've
is
been
it,
brought up well.
is it because of Mick Jagger specifically?
Oh, those lips! Yeah, How
Really?
could you not? No.
Oh. I really like Gimme Shelter. I really like that song a lot. And actually, that's was it the Sound Studios? No, okay, never mind. I'm wearing the Fame studio from Muscle Shoals.
Okay.
And I was remembering, I thought Wild Horses was recorded there, but it was actually
Oh,
at
I
the
love
Sound
that
Studio. Yeah, it was actually at the Sound Studio. That's also in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. But how about you? You're going Beatles?
Yeah, I'm going to go Beatles.
Why?
Have you seen the Love Show on the Strip?
I have not yet.
Oh,
it's
that's such a
amazing.
great show.
It is. It's a great show.
And that made me become a Beatles convert. So if it wasn't for the Love Show, I'd probably be Rolling Stones. But that was such a great show.
So what you're saying is that if you sat in a music with the Beatles music, you would not like it, but because there's people dancing around and doing acrobatics on stage, it sealed the deal for you.
It sealed the deal. It's pretty ridiculous.
I actually have heard it's a really great song, but I am not a Beatles fan. I appreciate their contribution to music, and obviously, a brand of $1.2 billion does not get built easily. I can't think of another band that could rival the Beatles as far as in branding and in knowledge. Now of course there's only two left. Paul McCartney, another great lyricist. I think him and John, didn't him and John write most of the songs?
I believe so.
I think so. And of course John's deceased, unfortunately. So it's just Ringo and him. Ringo and Paul left.
Ringo's still around?
Ringo's still around. Yeah. The other two are passed away. Paul was knighted. Was Ringo ever knighted?
I don't know. I'll call the Queen tonight and check
Yeah.
on that.
That's nice. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. So, all right. I think that's wrapping that up. If you guys can think of any others.
Nope.
I think that's it.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Okay, we'll see you next time.
Cheerio.
Be sure to check out our Finances, the Other F Words playlists for each episode on Spotify.